Welcome to Backstage with Geoffrey Morrissey. I'm your host, Geoffrey Morrissey. Today, I'm joined by Milck. Thank you so much for taking the time today.
Yeah, for sure.
So I had a list of questions all prepared, but then I just heard the phrase, a week of solidarity in the desert, which is something that I just want to dive right into with. You're participating in this. What does a week of solidarity in the desert look
like?
A
week of solitude in the desert.
Oh, solitude.
No, not at all. Solidarity is awesome. But I guess we'll have solidarity with myself. And basically I'm going to have 7 days where I am going to be in a space with my keyboards and my production rig, and I'm just going to be mapping out and just listening to music and playing with sounds, because in the month of May, I'm going to be just doing a bunch of writing sessions, writing for my upcoming body of work. It's either going to be 2 EPs or an album. We're not really sure, but I have this concept building, so I need to just get space to work on it and craft it. And I want to take hikes in the desert, listen to some Phil Collins, and listen to some Annie Lennox, some old school references, and just ground myself in what I wanted. What's my soundscape? What's my concept? Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like something I'd be fairly into too. I would ask if I would come, but it would throw away solitude.
Yeah.
Is this something that you've done before, or do you find that you're better writing alone?
I've done it before, where I've gone to a cabin in Washington State, and then I stayed there and just literally had a little stove and just spent time by myself in the middle of the woods, and that was really fun. It's good to paint ideas, and then I like refining them in the city. And so I like co-writing a lot. I love writing with people, but I think the core ideas and the vision is something that is really important to plant as a foundation, and then I bring in other people. It's kind of like I'm creating the architectural structure, and then I bring people hey, let's paint together, or let's put up the drywall together. Yeah.
I like that a lot. Another thing that I like a lot, your single Quiet.
Thank you.
Which I like how you describe that as your thesis, which with anything that is that personal, it must be difficult to bring that into the world and let others into it. So what was your biggest sort of, not fear, I don't want to say, but maybe your biggest reservation singing something that personal at such a large stage too?
I would say because it is very true, I actually feel very comfortable, because I'm I know this is complete truth. And so, because, as a musician, I want to serve my listeners by giving them good quality music, and I think the best music is when it's honest, not when it's impressive or shiny or trendy. That's cool for a minute, but what interests me is the truth. So I felt actually very confident about showing this song. I think the thing that can be difficult is retelling the origins of that song, my abuse and my anorexia. And there's a thing called getting re-triggered, and that's a total real thing. And the tricky thing about getting re-triggered is that actually it sneaks up on me, and I don't even realize it's happening until I take a moment. It's oh, I think I'm getting re-triggered again. And it comes in different forms. It could be a negative voice kind of getting louder and louder in my head, oh, why are you whining? This is no problem. Other people go through worse, stuff like that. So it can be challenging to talk about it over and over again, but the start of it, I felt very good about it because I worked so hard to get to the truth. Yeah.
And the thing that impressed me so much about that performance too, not a single microphone for the one in DC that I saw.
Cool.
It was just you in a circle, and then everyone around you sort of came in and picked up, and it was just all these voices coming together, which especially at the Women's March, it seemed so powerful and poignant, and I don't even know if it was planned that way, but it was absolutely amazing. So how did that performance kind of come together?
I wanted to share something at the march, and I have trouble just participating. I like to be part of creating events and stuff, and so when I went to go participate in the march, I was well, what else can I do as an artist? What can I create? I could pass out CDs or download cards, but it seems a little self-solicitous, and it's cumbersome for marchers to hold objects as they're marching. I was well, what do people like nowadays? And they like experiences. And so I thought I could sing by myself, but I've been singing in choirs and a cappella groups for all my life, so it was a natural form of logic for me. I was well, I'll just create a 9-part harmony for this song. And then or 7-part, yeah. So, and then I sang it with 25 strangers. I recruited them online. I recorded each part separately. I emailed it to them. We rehearsed on Skype. And so it became like a choir of strangers that got together on the day of the march, and we flash mobbed. And so that was the concept. I wanted to like put action behind my beliefs. So
Wow,
yeah.
I would have thought that you were rehearsing forever.
Oh,
It sounded that amazing.
Yeah, they were great. They were really good.
And then Call the Wild is the first single on your EP, which I know that was one that you really wanted for people to sort of get introduced with that song, sort of coming
like
to the
you
EP.
mean track-wise?
Track-wise, yeah, track-wise.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about what the Call the Wild is for you, and what about the sequencing on that record, or that EP, made it feel like Call the Wild needed to go first for you?
I felt like Call of the Wild has a really good, nice sonic scape to help pull people in, and it's just like a nice way of introducing a world. I think the Call of the Wild idea is kind of the beginning of someone wanting to explore more for their own life. Like maybe there's more to this life of mine than just what is in front of me and what I've been doing. So it's a nice little beginning spark. Yeah.
Nice. I was reading sort of when you were making this EP that you were reflecting on some different relationships, like the one with your mom, your dad, your sister, and that you're reflecting on them in a different way than you had in the past, which I find to be really interesting, because there are some albums where you can kind of see that. One that pops in my mind is The Story by Brandi Carlile.
Oh, cool, yeah.
Where she had said that was the album where she realized her parents were real people too.
Yeah,
which I found really interesting. So tell me a little bit for you, how did you start reflecting in a different way with the relationships like that?
I think being able to have my own agency has and getting validated with my music and having some type of way of making a living, and I just more confidence in myself has given me space to not look at my parents as people who judge me, but just as like people. And then after the song went viral, I started having dreams about my dad and about how he's like done everything for me. And even if he tried to make me be somebody else, like he was just doing the best he knew. So actually the new body of work I'm creating now that's not out yet has things about that. Like it's a lot about my family, and I'm exploring the concept of not running. Basically survivors or people who've gone through some hard times develop this capability of running away really quickly. I'm very good at packing my bags and leaving a situation, ghosting people and all that, and I'm learning to not do that anymore. Like, what happens if I don't run, if I keep facing the people that I actually do love and like go deeper with them, have those hard conversations that I'm terrified of having, you know?
No, of course. It's work that I can't wait to hear, that's for sure.
Awesome.
And then in researching, I found that you and I have a common one of our favorite bands, U2.
Oh my gosh, yes, I love U2.
Which is what I love to hear, so I have to ask, very basic question, what's your favorite U2 album?
Oh man, of course Joshua Tree.
I
wish
hoping you would say that.
I wish
Good.
I could say something like a little different from I think the majority of people, but that album is like, when I play that, I'll probably blast it as I'm driving to the desert. I mean, it's just kind of perfect. It's beautiful.
How can you not? I mean, it's an album written for the desert.
Yeah.
Were you able to see that anniversary tour or anything like that?
Yes, I was there. I was at the Rose Bowl in Los Angeles, and it was amazing, just wonderful.
Well, I can literally hear your fans clamoring to hear some of your music, so this will be my last question for you. Other than U2, who are you listening to right now?
I've been actually going back and listening to a lot of Annie Lennox, but oh my goodness, I need to say who I'm listening to a lot is Phoebe Bridgers.
Phoebe is one of my favorite people. Yes.
Oh my gosh, I'm obsessed. Her album is what I've been listening to nonstop on the tour. So she's like become she's like a friend of mine now. I feel like I know her.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah.
Julian Baker, do you listen to her as well?
Not yet,
No?
but I've
Okay.
heard. I need to get into her. Yeah.
That's how I got into Phoebe, because she opened for Julian when she had that 3-song EP out.
Oh,
And then,
amazing.
yeah, it was
Okay.
it was a great show then. I can't wait to see the Stranger in the Alps stuff now.
Yeah.
But my guest today has been Milck. If you are not listening to her single Quiet, stop what you're doing right now. Do it. You won't be disappointed. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you so much.